Now, if this video title and the thumbnail looks like it's clickbait to you, I assure you it is not clickbait. The Sonos sub is truly broken by none other than Sonos themselves. So welcome to another video on my channel, and today I'm going to be delivering the mother of all Upfront Summary, alright? And the Sonos sub is truly being broken by Sonos Trueplay itself. Is there something you can do? Summary upfront. For those of you affected who are running the Sonos Ray or the Sonos Beam, you can simply increase the output on the sub to +10, +15. I don't know how much you want the bass, but that will temporarily resolve the problem if you're still running Trueplay. But for those of you who are unlucky enough to be holding on to the Sonos Arc with a sub combination, the same process of increasing the sub output is not going to render any help at all. Now, if you have time to stay on for the rest of the video, I encourage you to. I will be pulling up frequency response charts, which I have been quite diligently doing for almost all the Sonos tests that I have been performing over the last 2 years or so. Alright, so a bit of background story for those of you who are new to this channel and have not yet subscribed. I'd like to share a little bit with you. So basically, I started this channel about 2 years ago when I first got my hands on the Sonos Arc as well as the Sonos Sub Gen 3 with the then released Sonos 5s as the rear surround. So it was a kick-ass Sonos home theater setup, all right? But the Sonos Arc had a problem at launch and the bass was kind of wobbly, right? The bass response was not smooth. So I did a lot of testing. I did a lot of frequency sweeps that will measure the output of the Sonos Arc all the way from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. Of course, the brittle treble was a little bit exaggerated on the Sonos Arc then, but the more important problem for the Sonos Arc to deal with was the fact that the bass output was kind of wonky, right? So you get a lot of wobbly sound in the bass response. In the subsequent months after the release of the Sonos Arc, by about September of 2020, they launched the Sonos Arc in June of 2020. So within that 3 months, they actually did quite a bit of firmware releases to address the problem, and the problem was finally resolved, which I also reported on my channel. So when I do the testing on my channel, I test almost all Sonos products released within the last couple of years, even those earlier, including the Sonos Play 3s, if you are wondering, and that is already about 10 years old. Now, for all the testing I've done, I actually turned off Trueplay. And the reason why I turned off Trueplay is simply because not all my viewers, not all Sonos users have access to an iOS device where you can perform Trueplay. And Trueplay only works on iOS devices. It doesn't work on Android devices. So if you perform Trueplay, it changes the sound for different people for different room environments. And when I do the testing, I do not want that to affect the sound profile, which I'm then reporting on. So to uphold the journalistic integrity of the testing, I have decided not to depend on Trueplay for a lot of testing. And even when I recommend the best settings for you, it is also without Trueplay turned on, and then you can apply Trueplay to improve that setting a little bit. So 2 years later, it seems that we are at it again. So Sonos has released firmware version 14.12, and 14.12 came about and it was supposed to deliver an enhanced dialogue experience for users of the Sonos Arc. But with it, it broke Trueplay for those of you who are using the Sonos Arc or the Sonos Ray or the Sonos Beam when it is paired with a sub. Now, it is hard for you to comprehend what's happening, but in short, if you are running a soundbar from Sonos today and have it paired to a sub, you are likely to run into the problem if you have performed Trueplay. Now, if you have not performed Trueplay, as I've evidenced in my earlier videos, you are probably not going to be affected. So for those of you without access to an iOS device, I think you're still fine, right? But if you go in and do Trueplay, because of the amount of retweaking to the sound profile that Sonos has done, they force you to do a Trueplay. And when you redo the Trueplay, your entire sub output is destroyed. So what is the solution? It is not even to increase the sub output for the Sonos Arc. For the Sonos Ray and the Sonos Beam Gen 2, yes, as I stated in the upfront summary, you can increase the sub output to compensate for the dip. But for the Sonos Arc, doing the same will not yield any results. It does not improve or increase the bass output from the Sonos Sub at all. Now, the problem with 14.12 is that when you engage Trueplay, it actually destroys the sound, especially, well, actually only if you have the Sonos Sub that is being paired with your sound bar. And that explains why I didn't get the problem initially, because I do not use Trueplay. When I do the testing, I realized that 14.12 didn't really change the sound output and didn't reduce the bass that dramatically like what a lot of people say. Now, I couldn't resist it because of my inquisitive nature, because of the fact that I'm running this channel and I owe it to you guys, the viewers, to actually investigate completely and thoroughly what is actually happening. So I took the leap of faith and I performed Trueplay on my system. Now, I was afraid that if I do that, the bug is going to come back and bite, and there's no way I can kind of like avoid the bug. I can't even turn off Trueplay to remove the bug. But Sonos did say you can turn off Trueplay and it will actually revert back so the bug wouldn't affect you. So I took the leap of faith and I performed Trueplay, right? But that really surprised me. So I'm going to run a couple of frequency sweeps. In fact, I have already run the frequency response sweeps for different configuration. So I am running a Sonos Arc with a Sonos Sub, okay? And in another configuration, I'm just running the Sonos Arc on its own. And for each of these configuration, I've done Trueplay off and Trueplay on. And you can also compare with the Sonos Arc, coupled with the Sub, Trueplay on and Trueplay off. Now, the results are truly going to shock you. Now, let me explain to you why it will shock you by running you through the frequency response charts. Okay, so I am going to be pulling up a dark red curve. Now, this dark red curve that you see on the screen right now, it represents the Sonos Arc on its own without a sub paired to it. And this is the frequency response all the way from 20 Hertz to 20,000 Hertz. Now, at about this line, this bold white line here, this is the 100 Hertz response rate. So below that, usually the output will start falling off without a subwoofer because the Sonos Arc on its own is not able to produce those frequencies effectively. So you'll see the curve drop off, right? And because of the retuned sound profile, in order to improve the sonic, the dialogue capabilities of the Sonos Arc, you will see that there is a bump between about 500 Hertz, or rather starting from 350 Hertz climbing all the way up. So this portion here, you will be able to see that there is a hump there, and that is where a lot of human voice dialogue resides. Actually, even at about 200 to 300 Hertz, there's some male vocals like my kind of voice, which is a little bit deeper. It also resides there, but there is a valley there. So regardless, this is the frequency response curves. We're not really worried about the mid-range nor the treble today. So what I want to show you is how the bass output is being affected by Trueplay. So I'm going to be pulling up another chart, and this other chart here in bright red. Okay, I realize that the color is not the best color, but just bear with me for a while. So highlighting it, you'll see that the bright red curve actually has the treble a little bit subdued, but never mind that. And after Trueplay is done, the bright red curve shows that it is actually pushing up the mid-bass output, or rather the higher regions of the bass, right, at about 100 plus Hertz. So there is an improvement in the bass response of the Sonos Arc after you perform Trueplay, right? But again, these two curves, they're not the star of today's episode. What I'm going to show you next is the response curve of the Sonos Arc when it's paired with a sub before and after Trueplay. Now, this dark blue curve here, right, is actually representing the Sonos Arc with a sub before Trueplay. So you can see that when the sub kicks in at about 110 Hz crossover point, it pushes all the bass frequencies upwards, right? Below 110 Hz, it pushes it up, way up, right? Above what the Sonos Arc is capable of achieving on its own. And that is what we expect a subwoofer to do, right? Any subwoofer, it doesn't have to be Sonos, it doesn't have to be this Sonos Arc setup, which I'm testing on, but this is what you would expect, nothing less. The next curve is what is really, really going to shock you, right? I have a bright blue or cyan color curve, which I'm going to be pulling up, which is for the Sonos Arc when it's paired with a sub after Trueplay is done, right? So for clarity, I'm going to be removing the first two curves of the Sonos Arc on its own. So you're going to only be seeing this dark blue curve, which is the Sonos Arc with sub before Trueplay. And now I'm going to click in. This is the Sonos Arc coupled with the sub after Trueplay. Now, if you look at this curve, at about this point, this crossover point here is 140 Hz, thereabout, right? And from there, below that, the sub seems to have lost its output completely. And when I say that, I'll show you what it means, because this is the Sonos Arc on its own. Remember the dark red curve? Without a sub. So this output is actually at some point even lower than the Arc on its own without the sub. So Trueplay truly killed the sub output of your Sonos sub if it is being paired with an Arc, with a Sonos Beam or the Sonos Ray. So this is why I say this is not clickbait. Sonos Trueplay did kill off the sub output. Now, is it intentional? No, it's not, right? Because Sonos actually posted an announcement, well, in the announcement section of the Sonos community forums. And the whole forum is thrive with a lot of information talking about how 14.12 update killed off their Sonos sub output. So this whole debacle, this whole episode reeks of what happened before in the months from June 2020 to about September 2020, when a lot of users were complaining about the Sonos Arc. Sonos was working really hard on it. If you think about what Sonos did 1 month ago, on the 19th of July, when 14.12 launched, it has been a month, and they have recognized that there is indeed a bug. Now, I'm just going to be referencing that announcement that Sonos made in the video description down below, but I will run through with you what they are saying. Now, in the update, Sonos said that they actually made a change to the Sonos Arc profile in order to improve dialogue, clarity, and overall sound experience. Now, in that, a lot of people complained that the volume dropped. So I did the same volume test, and in my previous videos leading up to this particular video, I did say that you have to push up the volume a little bit. Now, I do not do my listening or my testing anywhere beyond 50 or 60 on the volume slider, right? But what Sonos did was not to reduce the whole overall volume of the Sonos Arc, but rather they changed the curve, right? So Sonos acknowledged that they didn't communicate that well enough. If they had communicated that well enough, then people won't be saying that, oh, I have reduced the volume, or rather 14.12 reduced the volume output. The overall, the max output volume has not changed. The max base volume has not changed, right? Barring the bug with the Sonos sub, right? But what they did was to change it such that for the lower and the mid volume, when you are sliding it, it doesn't change the volume that much. But later on in the curve, when you slide, every percentage change you make will bring about a much larger percentage change in volume. So it wasn't communicated clearly by Sonos in the changelog, And they admitted that, and they said that they will be clearer in the communication. Now, Sonos, thank you for acknowledging that, but I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. So volume change, overall volume, no. But the lower volumes will kind of be affected. So if you're used to listening at 10, 15, 20, you probably have to push it up quite a bit more. But if you are used to listening at 70, 80 anyway, at that range, it would probably have matched back up with the Sonos volume response curve that Sonos has implemented with 14.12. And in the same announcement, Sonos actually admitted that they have identified the issue. Well, I don't know whether they identified it or because there was so much noise in the marketplace anyway, or maybe they were watching this channel and there is a problem with the Trueplay when it comes to the sub output. So a lot of you users, a lot of you viewers actually commented in the video comment section in my video set. It basically killed the sub output after Trueplay is done. So they recognize that. So for users of the Sonos Ray, which is the entry-level budget soundbar from Sonos, the Sonos Beam Gen 2 or even the Gen 1, the Gen 1 being non-Atmos capable and the Gen 2 being Atmos capable, as well as the Sonos Arc, if you have a sub that is paired to any of these soundbars and you have enabled or done Trueplay, it will kill the sub output. For the Sonos Ray and the Sonos Beam Gen 1 and Gen 2, you can simply go into the sub setting, increase the sub output to plus 10, plus 15, whatever it takes to let you enjoy the bass output back from the sub, and it will kick the sub output back to normal levels. But Sonos has also identified that for Sonos Arc users, even by doing that, it will not change things. Now, I do apologize. I didn't do that adjustment and capture the curve here, but what happens is that even when you increase the sub output to plus 10, plus 15, when the Sonos Arc is being paired with the sub, and you enable Trueplay, it is not going to lift this bright blue curve back, or it's not even going to change the curve at all. So there is truly a very, very serious bug there. So the final comment that Sonos made is that if you have the surrounds paired to it, as long as you don't have a sub, your Sonos Ray, your Sonos Beam, and your Sonos Arc will not be affected. You will just enjoy the better and more rounded vocal response that it was supposed to do with the Sonos Arc. So for Sonos Arc users with the Sonos sub, what can we do next? What can we do to rectify the situation? Well, for one, you just have to wait, all right? You can't even increase the sub output if you want to enable Trueplay. Now, the alternative, which is a temporary measure, of course, is to turn off Trueplay itself. Now, if you turn off Trueplay, like what I'm doing, let me just remove the original curve. So the dark blue curve is the Sonos Arc with sub before Trueplay, and after Trueplay is the bright curve. So I was worried that if I went back and turned off Trueplay, it will not revert to the same level, but let me just pull up the yellow curve. So I'm just going to click it on and off so you can see. So the blue curve is before Trueplay, the yellow curve is after Trueplay has been turned on, and then I turn it off. So you will be able to recover your sound profile if you turn off Trueplay, but you will not get any benefits of room tuning if you turn off Trueplay. So what is broken here? Is it the sub itself or is it Trueplay? The honest answer is that Trueplay is broken, right? It is not the sub that is broken. As demonstrated, the sub can still turn itself on and still perform its capabilities if you turn Trueplay off. So in a way, maybe it was a little bit clickbaity because Sonos did not kill the sub with the Trueplay. It killed the output, but it's a software problem. So what can we do? Just wait around. Now, this is the point I'm going to make, right? And I'm addressing Sonos. I know that my channel is a relatively small channel. It's not a multi-million, not 100,000 subscribers, and we don't even have a YouTube plug to commemorate the 100K subscriber or 1 million subscriber. It's a relatively small channel, but this channel has a pretty engaged Sonos users, right? Of course, I do talk about other products. I try to mix things up a little bit. I talk about other audio products, even wired products I do talk about, even though I'll say that, oh, this is a wireless audiophile channel. but I do try to spice things up a little bit. I talk about tech products as well, and time allowing, I might even venture a little bit further. Basically, to produce more content, what you can do is to just enjoy the time in between when I talk about Sonos products, because I know you come here for the Sonos stuff, but I do have a life, you do have a life. There are other things that interest us in our lives as well, and I like to just share them with you. But for Sonos, just bear in mind that this channel is actually a pretty valuable resource, and I pride myself on that, right? Why is it a pretty valuable resource? It is a communication channel that is open to a lot of Sonos users around the world, right? And when I run a live stream, when I look at the Google Analytics, and when I look at the YouTube Analytics, a lot of you guys are coming from the United Kingdoms, from US, from Australia. I've got people greeting me from all over the world. I've got a few fellow countrymen from Singapore. So for those of you who are in Singapore, hello, I am your fellow Singaporean, and I'm proud to be doing this. And, basically just show the world that where we are, we can still do a good job on the tech review channel. So with that, Sonos, if you do need to communicate something to your users, why don't you get in touch with me? I can probably try to break it down and deliver it in such a way where it's more personable. You don't have to write an official post and put it in your Sonos community page and hope for people to view it, right? If there are users, if they are your users or my viewers who are coming to this particular channel here and trying to seek out answers, trying to hear from me, I can communicate what you want them to know, right? Including that volume slider thing. So earlier I said I'll talk a little bit about it. Now you change the volume mapping, right? So instead of a linear curve, you probably made it into a curve that is this way, right? So for the first 50, 40% of the volume curve, any change, any percentage change, you're actually making very little adjustment. So that is what I mean by moving from a linear curve to a more logarithmic curve, right? And when you don't communicate that kind of things well, the backlash is not worth your time, is not worth the reputation, right? If you could get in touch with me, I could communicate that to all the viewers here. Well, granted, there will be users who can't be bothered to come to a YouTube channel to learn about the products that they have just bought from you, and they'll just be enjoying the product. Now, I love all my Sonos products, and I've probably gotten everything that you guys have launched within the last couple of years. So I'm offering this opportunity to kind of work together. Ignore me if you think that it is not something that you want to do, but I'm just opening up this opportunity. Now, if you do want to consider that, we could work together and I could serve as your voice to the community that will truly care, the community that is vocal. Now, people do post about my channel on the Reddit subreddit under Sonos. People do post about my channel and talk about my videos on your own community forums, right? So just have a thought about it. Think about what we can do together, and I'm sure I will be able to help you communicate some of these changes which you may not be putting down in enough words. And if you are still watching this video right now, you will know that I talk a shitload, and I can probably convey the message pretty effectively. I do hope. So guys, leave me a thumbs up if you think that that's a good idea. Well, not talking about Sonos, you viewers there. So Sonos, consider this, and maybe we can work together and deliver the communication that all us Sonos users deserve, because I am a Sonos user too, Okay guys, so if you guys have found this piece of advice, this video useful in explaining what has happened to the Sonos sub when Trueplay kicks in with the Sonos Arc or the Sonos Beam or the Sonos Ray, I hope you can consider subscribing to this channel. Of course, I do focus on other non-Sonos related stuff, but whenever it comes to Sonos, I will definitely jump on every piece of information that's out there, and I will science the heck out of it and try to tell you guys everything that Sonos is not telling you, right? So if that is your kind of thing, consider subscribing, consider ringing the notification bell so that when my videos drop, you will get notified. Well, if it's dropping too often, then forget it. Don't ring the notification bell, but consider subscribing and consider viewing. Now, I do have a Patreon account, which I'm going to be putting up right here, or maybe here, depending. And you will be able to scan this QR code, and it will bring you to my Patreon account, where you can make a small contribution towards my coffee fund as a way of showing tangible appreciation. Now, YouTube has also implemented super thanks, and I've implemented the super thanks. So if you see the super thanks down below this video, you can also click it and make a small one-time contribution to help me fund the work that I'm doing here. It will definitely help the channel keep going. Now, the thing is that I don't actually differentiate between contributors and non-contributors. So just be assured that when you come to this channel, my channel, P2P, the wireless audiophile channel, you will be getting the same content regardless, right? So whether you show the appreciation in tangible monetary terms or not, you're getting the same content. It is not that I'm not trying to deliver more to people who are contributing. It is just that I am allowing everyone access to it, right? So you get the information anyway. Whether you show appreciation is another story, which is fine either way. I truly mean it. I really will be making these videos even if you don't, right? So all I ask is that interact with the video, show a thumbs up, leave a like if you really found this useful, leave a comment. These two things are free to you, but it really helps the video grow. It really helps the channel grow, and it pushes the video to more and more Sonos users out there. So enough of my ranting. I will assure you that Sonos will be fixing this problem. They have been vocal about it. They have announced it. It's been a month since the launch of 14.12. 14.13 or 14.14, whichever version it is likely to be round the corner. Also, one more thing before we end today's video. There must be a new product launch very, very soon. And I'm not saying this because anyone at Sonos is telling me. I'm not even saying this because I have insider information. I don't claim to have insider information when I speculate things. But Sonos is due to launch 2 products in a year, right? Whether it's their fiscal year, which ends in October 2nd or 3rd this year, or whether it is a calendar year, they are due for one more product. So that product launch, maybe by September, maybe by end of the year. I'll probably release a video to talk about that. So meanwhile, stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.